Sharks are among the most perfectly constructed creatures in nature. Some forms have survived for 200 million years. Eugenie Clark. Sharks are one of nature's finest specimens, a creature of elegance and ferocity, power and beauty. With skeletons made from cartilage, which is a silky and durable form of connective tissue, versus the hard, inelastic bones that make up the vast majority of vertebrates, sharks, along with their cousins, the stingrays, manta rays, and sawfish, would roam various aquatic ecosystems, oftentimes, and still to this day, making up the top of the food chain, over bony fish, invertebrates, aquatic mammals, and birds and reptiles that populate these watery worlds. For the past 450 million years, these incredible marine beasts have dominated the world's oceans, surviving predators, climate changes, and apocalypses. Obviously, individual sharks have not survived that long, nor have the species of sharks, but this group of streamlined fish with cartilaginous skeletons came into the Earth's biological drama before the dinosaurs and long outlasted them, all the way till our current point in the plot, when a bipedal African ape started to dominate the planet wherever there was soil to step on. That bipedal ape would intrude upon the aquatic scapes of the sharks, sometimes looking to prey upon the predators, sometimes to become prey themselves, and sometimes to marvel in fascination at the sharks. Sharks played a pivotal role in nearly every maritime culture which sailed along the waters sharks roamed. If sharks are the greatest maritime hunters, then the Polynesians were the greatest maritime sailors. The Polynesians were the first to colonize Hawaii, New Zealand, Easter Island, and a variety of other islands across the Pacific. And these people knew the sea, and that's why they worshipped shark gods, and told tales of supernatural beings who could shapeshift between human and shark. That's something Jesus might not be able to do. Similar tales and greater powers inspired from the shark arose in various other island cultures. To these cultures, sharks played a role to lions, tigers, eagles, and other apex predators worthy of both fear and respect in more terrestrial cultures. Sharks, of course, are not a monolith, though. Some, like the dogfish, can fit in the palm of your hands. Others, like the whale shark, are the largest fish on the planet, ranging over 10 meters or 30 feet. Most prefer warm water, but there is the Greenland shark that can swim across the frigid waters of the subarctic and can live for hundreds of years in very, very cold water. Not all reside in salt water. The bull shark sometimes swims up brackish water and even fresh water, and there are even some river sharks, as rare as they are. Heck, not even all sharks are carnivorous, as the bonnethead shark is known to eat plants. And of course, to debunk the worst stereotype of all, most sharks aren't man-eaters. Like nearly all stereotypes, there's some truth to this. Great whites, target sharks, bull sharks, hammerheads, and to a lesser extent oceanic white-tip sharks are of the few that will, in fact, attack humans on occasion. However, with over 500 species of sharks, the likelihood of one trying to eat you is very small. And I'm saying this as someone who has dived with them multiple times. Shark attacks, by and large, are a rare phenomenon. Not a non-existent one, but a very rare one. Most shark attacks are found in countries with aforementioned large aggressive species, and a large beach culture with surfing, namely Australia, South Africa, Brazil, and the US if you want to count Hawaii, and to a lesser extent California. You are more likely to be killed by a dog, and sure, this is partly because people live on land and are more likely to be in contact with dogs. But at the end of the day, even with a frequent contact with sharks, the threat of this animal attacking you is really, really unlikely. Part of the reason for this bleak reputation were from shark attacks on the Jersey Shore during the early 20th century, in which a grand total of 4 people were killed. This was during the 1916 series of attacks. But I wish one was done during 2010, so it would have involved the members of the Jersey Shore getting attacked. This fueled fear and resentment towards sharks. Another factor has been other forms of pop culture like Deep Blue Sea, and most notably, Peter Benchley's novel Jaws, which was adapted by Steven Spielberg into one of the greatest movies of all time, Jaws, as well as some of the most garbage sequels of all time, like Jaws 2. The legacy of these art forms is debatable, as on one hand, they were narrative marvels, but on the other hand, they have contributed to the image of sharks as ruthless man-eaters. To be fair, though, both the author of the novel and Steven Spielberg have denied this, and Peter Benchley, in fact, was a devout marine conservationist. More recent examples include Finding Nemo, with its character Bruce, who tries his best to abstain from eating fish. By the way, great white sharks most notably do not eat fish for the most part. They tend to eat marine birds and marine mammals. Their attacks on humans probably stem from mistaking humans as diving suits for sea lions. Granted, some of the positive depictions of sharks as biological masterpieces have also produced some forms of BS, namely the idea that sharks don't get cancer. Sharks do in fact get cancer, and one of the worst myths is that eating sharks, namely shark fins, reduces cancer. While less than 100 people are killed by sharks each year, tens of millions of sharks are killed by humans each year. However, other nations in the Indo-Pacific eat them as well, such as the western nation of Australia, where shark meat is sometimes used for fish and chips in cities like Adelaide. In the Indian subcontinent, the cartilage bones are oftentimes used in southern Indian and Sri Lankan cooking. The national dish in Iceland is a fermented green shark that reeks of ammonia, which is a scientific way of saying that it kind of smells like piss. Anthony Bourdain called this rotting piss shark, quote, "the single worst, most disgusting and terrible tasting thing I have ever tried." He also claimed that what came close to the disgusting taste of that shark was a warthog's rectum in Namibia and the McDonald's chicken nugget. And of course, I have to go back to East Asia to talk about shark fin soup. Like many commodities that cause untold damage, shark fin soup is not some sort of substantial food source or protein source for cultures with very few alternatives, but rather a status symbol. And with ever-growing middle and upper classes in China, this has all become more destructive on a larger scale. Sharks are oftentimes fished, and they have their fins cut off, and the rest of the shark is dumped into the sea to die, as the rest of their meat is not particularly profitable. To make matters worse, marine animals, high up in the food chain, tend to have higher levels of toxins that accumulate from life lower in the food chain, and for this reason, shark fin soup not only poses a threat to sharks, but also to humans, namely through the neurotoxins that contribute to Alzheimer's and other diseases like Parkinson's. There are also some species in which sharks have all of their meat eaten, such as the small aforementioned dogfish. However, it is worth noting that, like many predatory marine animals, they also contain high levels of mercury. Western nations don't have a perfect track record either when it comes to protecting sharks. Various Australian states have used drumlines and shark nets to trap and cull sharks. This has killed thousands of sharks that don't cause any harm to humans, alongside stingrays, dolphins, and other marine life. These shark nets and drumlines were initially used to ward off sharks from reaching beaches where humans visited, but untold destruction has been caused. And this is really disproportionate for the incredibly small number of people attacked by sharks. There have been attempts to create drumlines which don't kill sharks and other marine species, or at the very least, reduce the number of deaths. Nonetheless, humans, like sharks, are not pure evil. The US government banned shark finning in the year 2000. Various other nations like South Africa have placed numerous shark species under their environmental protection, and various Pacific island nations have set up shark sanctuaries. Humans have even brought sharks into their own urban spaces, as controversial as it may be. Despite their massive size and appetites on occasion, sharks have been seen in public aquariums all around the world, with docile sharks like nurse sharks, zebra sharks, and small coastal sharks like the leopard sharks populating various public aquaria, and even some private aquaria for a few rich Bond villains. This shows the deep fascination that both the public and private individuals have for these creatures. And even whale sharks have been kept in captivity, such as the Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta, where a few of them call their $6 million Gallon Aquarium home. Unfortunately, we have never been able to successfully keep a great white shark in captivity, which is a shame because that would sell a lot of tickets. Most great white sharks held in captivity pretty much die within a matter of weeks. And this brings up some of the complexities with conservation. Do we conserve animals by keeping them in captivity? Or do we let them roam where they're more likely to get killed? Such are the difficult questions in life. And at the end of the day, the human-shark relationship resembles that. After all, this relationship is to some degree based off of projection. A bipedal ape who projected its worst impulses on a fish. And just as sharks are not monolithic monsters, neither are humans. Humans, like the shark, are not pure evil. Nature managed to produce a creature that would wreak havoc on the natural world, but also be wise enough to be self-aware, to acknowledge it, and even try to protect it. As famed oceanographer Jacques Cousteau said, "For most of history, man has had to fight nature to survive. In this century, he's beginning to realize that in order to survive, he must protect nature."